So, Venerable Tarpa gave me this question a while ago. I don't know if it's your question or it's your question. Okay, but it comes from the SAFE course, number 4, on the correct view. Okay, so she's asking about Rinpoche's verse in the 3 principal aspects of the path, where it says, when these 2 realizations are simultaneous and concurrent, meaning understanding emptiness and dependent arising. From the mere side of infallible dependent arising comes definite knowledge, which completely destroys all modes of mental grasping. At that time, the analysis of the profound view is complete. Okay, so her question is, for who are these 2 realizations simultaneous? To understand this, we have to back up a little bit. Okay. And this also has to do with the topic Jeffrey was first teaching us when we first started out years ago with him. Okay? So, the thing is, to realize emptiness and to have a complete realization of emptiness are not the same thing. Okay? So to have a full realization of emptiness, such that the analysis of the profound view is complete, we must understand emptiness in terms of dependent designation. And that occurs subsequent to realizing emptiness, because we can realize emptiness by understanding causal dependence. Okay, so if we back up a few verses, when it says, one who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in cyclic existence and beyond, and destroys all false perceptions of their inherent existence, has entered the path that pleases the Buddha. Remember that verse? Okay, so, well, first of all, it's a little bit tricky because infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in cyclic existence, okay, and beyond refers to nirvana, but nirvana is a permanent phenomena, so there are no causes and conditions. So it could refer to how they cheat sometimes and say emptiness is the cause of nirvana because it's the object that you realize by the true path. But in another way, when it says cause and effect of cyclic existence and beyond, it also refers to more than dependent, causal dependence. It can refer to mutual dependence and dependent designation too. Okay, so the path that pleases the Buddha is the inferential realization of emptiness. Okay, so we've realized emptiness by, it's not direct, it's by means of a conceptual appearance, but it's the correct realization of emptiness. And it's usually gained through realizing causal dependence. So this inferential realization destroys all false perceptions of their inherent existence, in that we now know for certain that inherent existence can't possibly exist. Okay, but we haven't yet destroyed all false perception of their inherent existence in terms of uprooting the ignorance that grasps at true existence, so that that ignorance can never return. So we haven't done that in that verse. Okay. Then the next verse, appearances are infallible dependent arisings. Emptiness is free of assertions of an existence or non-existence. As long as these 2 understandings are seen as separate, one has not yet realized the intent of the Buddha. Okay. So realizing emptiness inferentially is a wonderful first step. Okay? However, at that time we haven't yet equated emptiness and dependent arising. We're still seeing them as 2 different things. We're not seeing them as compatible or as mutually reinforcing yet. Okay? So the full understanding of emptiness cannot arise until we understand emptiness and dependent arising are complementary. Okay? So without understanding that the existence and identity of everything is posited purely in terms of dependence, we're compelled to assert existence from its own side. Okay. Then, the next verse. When these two realizations, emptiness and dependent arising, are simultaneous and concurrent, from the mere sight of infallible dependent arising comes definite knowledge, which completely destroys all modes of mental grasping. At that time, the profound view is complete. Okay? So here, only after attaining an inferential realization of emptiness are we able to see dependent arising and emptiness as mutually complementary. Okay? So, and it's at that time that we arrive at the full understanding of emptiness. You don't have the full, because remember, realizing emptiness and having the full realization of emptiness are different. Okay, so realizing emptiness, you get the inferential realization through understanding causal dependence. After you come out of that meditation, you look around and then you see that, oh yes, things are empty, but they still exist. How do they exist? By being dependently designated. So it's only after you have the initial realization of emptiness that you actually realize dependent designation. And it's only when you realize dependent designation that you have the full, complete understanding of emptiness. That's when you have a full understanding of it. Yeah? Because you have to, it's not just a question of perceiving emptiness, which is done when you're meditating with an inferential thing. The full realization is when you can see emptiness and dependent arising as complementary. And to do that, you have to understand dependent designation. And all of that happens after you come out of your meditation, having realized emptiness inferentially. Yet full realization of the correct view. Maybe it's more correct to say that. A full realization of the correct view. A realization of emptiness doesn't have to be a direct realization. Yeah, it can be an inferential realization. In any case, you don't have the correct view and the complete understanding of emptiness until you understand dependent designation and emptiness are mutually complementary. Okay, so when it says simultaneous and concurrent here, it doesn't mean at the same time, because clearly you can't be focused on emptiness and focused on dependent arising at the same time. That doesn't work. What it means here is simultaneous and concurrent here means it indicates that the meaning of dependent arising and emptiness converge to the same point. At this, understanding this, our analysis of the profound view is complete. Okay? So at this time, then emptiness dawns as dependent arising, as the meaning of dependent arising, and dependent arising dawns as the meaning of emptiness. Okay, so that is when all of that occurs, when our perceptions are still informed by the understanding of emptiness after having realized it inferentially. Okay, so when merely seeing or hearing about a dependent arising, such as a sprout or a person, prompts the understanding that it is empty of inherent existence to arise in our mind, that is emptiness dawning as the meaning of dependent arising. So that's got to happen in post-meditation time. Okay, you see the chocolate chip cookie, it brings up the understanding that the chocolate chip cookie is empty and full of calories. Okay, But so you're seeing the two things as complementary. Yeah. Conversely, when reflecting on the emptiness of the sprout, we automatically know without any other consciousness intervening, so we don't have to have a whole reasoning process going on there. By just reflecting on emptiness, we automatically know that it means dependent arising. Okay? And that is dependent arising dawning as the meaning of emptiness. Okay? So in short, again, what we started out with, there's a distinction between the realization of emptiness and the culmination of the analytic process when the analysis of the profound view is complete. Okay, I was saying full realization of emptiness, meaning the analysis of the profound view is complete. But this is still you haven't yet had a direct perception. Okay, so maybe you wouldn't say full realization of emptiness, full analytical realization of emptiness, whatever it is, okay? Whereas the culmination of the analytical process occurs when our understanding has developed to the point that emptiness is seen in terms of dependent arising, and dependent arising is seen in terms of emptiness. So this is the realization of the subtle level of conventional truth, which occurs after the initial inferential realization of emptiness. Yeah, this is path of preparation stuff. Okay. Because, we keep hearing dependent designation. And my question was, why do we keep hearing about dependent designation if we can't realize that until after we realize emptiness? Well, it's because we've got to plant in our mind the seeds of things are dependently designated, so that when we come out of our inferential realization of emptiness, that seed ripens and gets us to think, oh yes, things are empty, but they exist by being merely designated. Okay? So you see, a lot of the things that we're taught are to plant seeds, so that at the appropriate time, that seed ripens and takes us in the direction we need to go in. Whereas if we don't plant that seed, even we have that realization, we may just kind of hang around a lot, not really seeing the complementary nature of emptiness and dependent designation. If you really think about them, there are different levels of subtlety. First of all, causal dependence pertains only to impermanent things, not to permanent things. Okay? And it's easier to understand. Yeah, the lower schools, those people realize causal dependence. They just don't realize that if it's produced by causes and conditions, it must be empty of inherent existence. They don't realize the pervasion aspect of the syllogism, okay? But they realize causal dependence. They don't realize dependent designation. Yeah, because they say things have their own inherent essence. They don't exist by dependent designation, because if they did, anything could be anything. Okay, so there's levels of subtlety when you talk about dependent arising.
In the text that, where does it say appearances clear away the extreme?
Inherent existence, extreme of non-existence. Because yes, that's the point. It's usually the opposite. But when you have a really deep understanding of emptiness, then you realize it this way too. Because usually it's dependent arising, that proves, yeah, and emptiness that clears away inherent existence. But when you have a deep understanding and you're really over the two extremes, then you see that by asserting dependent existence, you're clearing away inherent existence, and by asserting emptiness, you're clearing away non-existence. Okay? And that's when you know that the two extremes are gone. Okay.